In the aftermath of Brazil's own take on the January 6th insurrection, the newly elected progressive president Lula da Silva has publicly vowed to bring consequences against both the rioters and their enablers. So, just a few days ago, the entire world got to see the ongoing legacy and sinister influence of the January 6th insurrection, 2 years and 2 days later in a completely different country. Of course, I'm referring to the recent riots in Brazil. And the parallels between January 6, 2021 and January 8, 2023 are very obvious. Okay, so in Brazil, we're talking about thousands of far-right supporters of a recently defeated far-right authoritarian, Jair Bolsonaro. They attacked 3 federal government buildings at the same time, the same day. They attacked the Congressional building, the Supreme Court building, and the executive residence, thousands of them. Now, a couple of differences. The first one being that this wasn't intended to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power, because in the situation with Brazil, power had already been transferred. Okay, Lula da Silva, the progressive president that they were rioting against or protesting, he's been in office for a week. Okay, so power is officially his. And the second difference is that, unlike on January 6th, the president was not in residence. Okay, Trump was in the White House watching this unfold. President da Silva was in Sao Paulo meeting other world leaders, right? So he was thankfully out of harm's way when this occurred. Of course, the third big difference is that on January 6th, the sitting president was responsible for the riots, whereas in Brazil on January 8th, 2023, the president was not responsible. He was the target. He was the subject of the riots, the person against whom they were rioting. Another major difference is how Lula, as he's known, is handling these riots, both rhetorically and in terms of action, and how the government of Brazil in general is just doing things a bit differently than the United States has done. And so what I mean specifically in terms of his rhetoric, well, we can look at his official Twitter. He says, "I was just tonight at the palace at the STF. The coup plotters who promoted the destruction of public property in Brasilia, the capital, are being identified and will be punished. Tomorrow we resume work at the palace. Democracy always. Good night." Pretty strong words that he's saying, that not just the people on the ground defacing property, violating these federal buildings, attacking government buildings, but the people who promoted it, the plotters, okay? And then the CNN article goes into deeper detail. So Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, Lula as he's known, has joined a growing chorus of accusations against the country's security forces as questions mounted how protesters were able to breach government buildings and wreak havoc inside over the weekend. The Brasilia police neglected the attack threat. Brasilia's intelligence neglected it, Lula said during a meeting with governors on Monday. It's easy to see in the footage the police officers talking to the attackers. There was an explicit connivance of the police with the demonstrators. He also vowed to find out who financed the protesters. Again, very strong rhetoric right out the gate. He's making accusations of law enforcement at Brasilia and the intelligence apparatus in Brasilia as well. And it sounds like he's going to take action. And other organs of the Brazilian government already have. For example, Brazil has they have governors much like of districts, much like how in the United States we have state governors. And so Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, is in a district with a governor. And that governor was yanked out of his position on Sunday. On Sunday, the Brazilian Supreme Court judge, Alexandre de Moraes, temporarily removed Ibanez Rocha, Brazil's federal district governor, from his post for 3 months. Rocha, a Bolsonaro ally, so an ally of the far-right authoritarian ex-president that these rioters were supporting, has been serving as the governor of the federal district, which includes the capital of Brasilia. So already Brazil's government is taking aggressive, immediate action to make a statement, right? So like this guy, for example, he wasn't fired. He wasn't arrested, but he was removed from power for 3 months while investigations can proceed as to whether or not he played a role in it. That is strong pro-democracy, proactive measures. And again, this is just 2 days after it happened. There's no telling what will happen in a week or in a month. But it seems like Lula has learned lessons from President Biden and Democrats here in the United States in terms of how to respond. January 6th, I think a lot of people thought, okay, well, this is the end of MAGA. This is the end of Donald Trump politically. And I think many politicians like Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, they probably thought it as well, which is why in the immediate aftermath, so many Republicans and Republican officials strongly condemned Donald Trump and the attack, and then have walked it all back in the years since, right? Because our attention spans as a public are so shattered, even something like this, we're just inclined to forget because it's out of sight, out of mind. Lula, I mean, I'm not a mind reader, but it seems like he's learned those lessons. He's like, no. We're not going to drag this out. We're going to take immediate action. Yes, we're going to investigate. Yes, we're going to follow the law, but we're not just going to sit on our hands in the interim. There are things that can and should be done in between, while investigations are beginning and ongoing and conclude, and then indictments occur if there are any to make. But we're going to take aggressive action rhetorically and in terms of actual government action, in terms of, removing people from posts temporarily and things like that. So I think this is great. I imagine that those involved with encouraging these particular riots are probably a bit nervous right now, as they should be. And good luck to Lula. Hey, you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you absolutely hated the video, the best revenge for you is also to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That'll teach me. If you want to share an opinion or share some feedback, go ahead and leave a comment, all right? 2023 is a year of change, hence the aggressive rebrand and commitment to new content. Inspired by my friends Luke Beasley and STV Philly, my personal goal for this channel is to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping you'll do me a solid by spreading the word and the videos to potential fans and hate watchers alike. And in the meantime, we'll be pondering politics again with you very soon.